Conway Medical Center is the way of the future. Who's leading their way? Meet him. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Reflections Bar at the Marina Inn at Grand Dunes, home of the 8th annual Winter Gala of the Conway Medical Center Foundation. We're focused on the Conway Medical Center, and we're visiting with its president and chief executive officer, Phil Clayton. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me today.
How about this Reflections Bar in
That's
the
pretty nice
Marina
looking out
Inn?
the window there.
Absolutely. Early on a Friday morning, of course, the thrill of to think that we're a little less, right over a week from the gala.
Right. We're really looking forward to that event.
You were here last year for the 7th annual one.
Of course.
Yeah.
CEO, I'm here for all the events.
And it was a magnificent.
Spectacular.
Jessica was with us on Monday, and I think she highlighted that this was the first big event for the Marina Inn. They'd had a New Year's Eve event. They opened in November of '05, then they had, or November of '06, had a big New Year's Eve event, and then this was the first big sit-down event, the Conway Medical Center Foundation's gala last year.
Right. It's always sort of scary going somewhere new, especially when they haven't done something like that, but they really pulled it off. They did an outstanding job. I heard just nothing but good comments the whole time, and following, heading into this year.
Right. And crossing the waterway for you was not that big a deal. You know this side of the waterway pretty well, I believe.
I've been in this area quite a while. My mom and dad bought a house here in 1960, so I've seen a lot of change and growth here in this area.
Oh, yeah. Phil, anything that really sticks out in your mind? You know, when we think about being here at the Marina Inn, looking down below us on Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which is about to open, and seeing this amazing Grand Dunes development, as well as, of course, across the way, Grand Strand Regional Medical Center and its expansion. Think about some of that growth. Does anything really stick out in your mind?
Sure. I mean, growing up here, we had a two-lane, Highway 17 was a two-lane road with beautiful palm trees and a huge median down the middle. Grand Strand was Ocean View Memorial Hospital at the time.
Right.
Over close to the ocean. Where we sit now was nothing but just woodlands, and we knew there was a waterway over there, but it seemed so far away when I was growing up.
Right. Yeah. And you said your folks bought a place here in 1960. Were you all living somewhere else then? Or you raised? Yeah.
Well, my father was a salesman, and they came to vacation here, loved it. He decided that he could travel. He was traveling anyway, so we settled here in Myrtle Beach in, like I say, 1960, and right about 2 miles from here, over on 64th Avenue.
Is that right?
He traveled, and we stayed home. I got to go to all my school and everything through here in Myrtle Beach.
Did you ever imagine that you would make your home back here? You know, Jessica Sasser earlier this week had highlighted that when she was raised in Horry County schools but left to go to the College of Charleston and thought that would be the end of it. She'd never come back.
That's a good question. Thinking back, I'm like most people who always want to get away from their home for a little while.
Right.
Yeah, I did that. I went to school upstate and then stayed in the upstate for a little while. And it was a best friend of mine who had sand in his shoes and wanted to get back that convinced me to send some resumes out, and lo and behold, I ended up back home and loved it. Don't regret it at all. Have sand in my shoes. I love every minute I spend here.
Family still in the area? Are your parents still living?
No, they both passed away, and I was lucky enough to be able to buy the house that I grew up in.
Is
so
that
we
right?
use that right now as a second home, even though it's only a short way away, but it's a lot of memories there, and the location's spectacular. So I can wake up and look at the sunrise, and it makes the day okay.
That is tremendous. Phil, what actually got you to Conway Medical Center, or I guess at that time it was Conway Hospital?
Correct. I was in the Greenville hospital system, spent 3 years there, and like I say, it was a friend of mine who had just come out to spend a weekend with us.
Right.
Said he was sending resumes trying to find a job back home. And my wife and I sat down and talked about it, and we decided this is where we wanted to be too, if things would work out. And
so your wife's from this area as well?
Well, I met her working over here at the Old Barefoot Traders.
Is that
yeah,
right?
I drove a train and she worked in the shop. So
no, Phil, I didn't see that on your bio. Yeah.
Just a summer romance that something came of, and we've been happily married for quite a while, 1977.
Wow.
But no, we had the chance to come back. I'd sent blind resumes out. I was in finance at the time, and so happened that Conway Hospital was looking for a controller. And I took that advantage and moved down here, and have had the great opportunity to continue to grow with the organization.
Yeah.
As I said, since 1980.
1980
is when we
My
moved
Lord,
here.
almost 30 years.
in one
Not
job.
to date
That's
you, I'm
amazing.
sorry. Yeah, Phil, no. I mean, it is a wonderful thing with one organization.
Truly, I never thought I'd be in one organization this long.
Right.
At the time, it seems like people kept moving around to move up, and that was always one of my goals, was to continue to move up.
Right.
And I was given a great opportunity here with Conway Medical Center to do that.
Right.
I've seen a lot of growth and change, and it's just been spectacular to be here,
yeah.
to be part of it.
I was at the Conway Medical Center website early this morning. I saw on the front page more than 70 years. So it is, I guess it was founded in the 20s or 30s?
We actually got our charter in 1928.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, yeah.
Been at our current site since 1982.
1982, they're on 501.
That's right.
Now, when you describe that, do you describe it as they're on 501, or do you describe it on Singleton Ridge Road, or how do you, if you were describing...
Typically, I'll say it's off of 501,
right,
and then you go down Singleton Ridge Road, but clearly we want to be in a location that was still accessible to as many people as possible.
Yes, of course, that is. I think you mentioned before we started filming this morning when Conway, when you arrived there, was actually in downtown Conway.
Correct. It was at 9th Avenue and 501 in Conway. The building was very dated because part of the building did go back to 1931.
No.
So that was, and DHEC was allowing us to stay in it only because they knew we had plans to move into something newer. So unfortunately, we did have to leave out of downtown Conway because I know a lot of the citizens were passionate about keeping their hospital there.
Right.
But we felt the only way for us to meet the future needs of this community was to move to a site that had more availability of land so that we could expand and grow, and certainly that's what we've done during the time.
Right, right. Well, of course, earlier this week, you know, Liz and Janie were with us on Wednesday, and Jessica talking about it on, we're talking about the Health Reach program and so much that has to happen with that Health Reach van. Even Judy Price with us on Tuesday talking about the Backpack Buddies program. It was amazing hearing the level of intensity of their interest in really wrapping around and supporting these programs. It's a big deal doing what you all do every day.
Sure. Back in the late 80s, we felt like we should be doing more for our community. And at that point in time, we decided to develop create a foundation.
Right.
And with the thoughts that we needed to have some mechanism to fund some programs that typically wouldn't be funded.
Right.
Foundation has been able to grow and prosper and do things, and because of that arm, we're able to do some very neat things for this community that we probably wouldn't otherwise be able to do. You mentioned the van program. When AVX came to us with a grant to buy the van, we said, well, that's good, but can we continue to support it?
Right.
Foundation took the challenge, and the foundation is able to underwrite the total operations of the van, including personnel and everything.
Is that right?
And
wow.
Like things like the Scala and the Kingston Golf Classic, those help to fund that, and it is. They fund 100% of it. And those are the things we couldn't do otherwise. We're able to reach out in the community. You know, one of the things we recognize is so many people were ending up in our emergency room in a very poor state of health. You know, they let their hypertension go till it became a stroke, or they let their diabetes go till they needed an amputation. And we realized we needed to get out into the community to these people who typically wouldn't be getting health care and help them diagnose their chronic disease early. It's chronic disease is probably the #1 killer in healthcare that people just don't all the time keep up with. And it's been very successful. I mean, the success stories, in talking with Jane and Liz, I'm sure they share some success stories that they've had.
Right.
They do wonderful work. They're able to see people that typically wouldn't get health care, get them into the healthcare system. And that is one of our faults, is that, you know, we still have a population out there that is medically underserved. And I know that issue was addressed in the recent debate and will continue to be a key issue.
Right.
But we have to figure out a way to provide care to these folks. And creating this program, Health Reach, is just our small effort at getting to them.
Showing up at community convenience stores, at gas stations, and otherwise the Health Reach van just pulling over and folks thinking, almost scared to go up to it. But of course, y'all are, I mean, really stepping out. Is there anything else like this in the county or on the Strand, even in the PD?
I think we're fairly unique around here.
Yeah.
I think MUSC runs one down in the Low Country in Charleston, but around here I think we're pretty unique, and try to continue to do the best job we can, and even take the patients to the next step. We also support things like the Friendship Clinic, so that we can get patients seen in other venues, not just the van, or not just our emergency room.
Right.
So yeah, we're real proud of it. It's one of those services, like I say, we couldn't offer without our foundation, But we're so proud that we're able to operate because we do feel like we're doing a tremendous job for this community and helping to improve health care.
Absolutely, Phil. And next month, February 2008, it's a 20-year anniversary of the Conway Medical Center Foundation. So a real thrill there. And of course, we're not far from, I hate to say it, your 30th anniversary. So some of the exciting aspects of some of the growth there in the hospital, you know, visiting the website early this morning, there is a lot of information there. Is it ConwayMedicalCenter.com?
That's correct. That is our website.
Ton of information on there that goes on and on. It sounds like, I mean, it seemed like I needed to begin getting ready to get in here to see you this morning, so I couldn't go through it as much as I wanted to. But what are some of the things that really stick out in your mind, some of the programs? Of course, we want to talk about the expansion of the hospital and the administrative wing there.
Sure. Well, let's start with expansion. Where we are now is that we have finished an administrative annex, and basically, for all intents and purposes, it's an office building. Our business services have moved out of the main hospital, and truly that was a cost-saving effort because if you compare construction costs for hospital-type facilities versus office, it's much less to build office space.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we've moved out, and where our old offices were located, we're doing a new bed tower. This bed tower will house 64 beds on the top 2 floors. The bottom floor, we're going to move a new laboratory. We're going to move our current lab over to a new space, so it'll become state-of-the-art.
Wow.
We'll have a new GI center for colonoscopies in the new center on the bottom floor. The top 2 floors are really exciting because they're going to have state-of-the-art patient rooms. It'll be totally different than what you're seeing in this area now. The rooms will have actually be much larger than what we have. Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest problems is we have very small patient rooms now. These rooms will be large enough to where we'll have what's called a treatment area for the clinical staff.
In each patient's room?
Right.
Wow.
The patient bed area and then the family area. So the family will be able to be part of the care, be able to stay comfortably. We're going to do the wireless internet, Wi-Fi, so that a family member, whoever says, will bring their laptop, or the patient can use their laptop and connect to the internet. Trying to be more centered toward that family care. We realize how important it is for the family to be with the patient. But that'll be exciting. And then our new ICU area will actually be a totally different concept of care. What we used to do, or what we do today, is a patient comes in, say chest pain. They immediately go to our ICU. From ICU, we have to step them down to our progressive care unit. Once they're good enough to get out of there, then we move them again to a regular room. So that patient has gone from our emergency department to ICU, to PCU, to a regular room. Our new concept will be is that we'll just move the nurses. The entire 3rd floor of our unit will be equipped so that a patient, once they check into that room, they stay in that room. Level of nursing care will change as their amount of their needs change.
Right, yes.
But we feel like that will be very important to the family and to the patient, not having to move around. You know, as much as you like to say, there is occasion where a patient does get lost when that family member doesn't come for a day and comes back and they're trying to go to the ICU.
Right, where's my loved one? Yeah,
so this will take care of that issue. We're really excited.
That is tremendous, Phil. That really is state-of-the-art. I mean, there's nothing like it.
That's right. It'll be really exciting for the area.
And progressively, every year or every other year, as more advances are made, everyone's facilities will upgrade, I suspect.
Sure. Facilities are probably the hardest to upgrade. You do have to go through a certificate of need process.
Oh, yeah.
Which we did back in probably 2005 for our beds. But, you know, one of the key features of certificate of need is to try to hold down costs. So changing facilities is often difficult because you do have to figure out a way to do more with what you have.
Right.
But overall, yeah, I would say you will see all the facilities trying to move up and improve. And I know that both Grand Strand and Loris hospitals have gotten their certificate of needs for additional beds.
That's right. Sure and you've got a good relationship with the other 2 hospitals here as well as Waccamaw and Georgetown.
Absolutely. Sure. Get along great with their CEOs and the hospitals. We're able to share information, talk about things.
Right.
You know, if there's ever a time we share supplies, if we're out of a supply, we can call and they'll ship one over. So
right. I've got to say, Phil, one of the best things I'd ever seen at the first of the year was a full-page ad with the logos. I think it was smoke-related, smoke-free related facilities, but the logos of all the institutions at the bottom of the page. It was the first semblance. We've seen things in the news of a teensy bit of sparring going on as it relates to certificates of needs. But it's seeing everyone wrap around. It's much like seeing Rob and the gentleman, I can't remember his name, at Carolina's Hospital, the 2 guys up there in the PD area wrapping around supporting similar initiatives. And that's a real step in a positive direction for all of this area.
It really is. I think we do try to collaborate as much as we can. Unfortunately, there will be times when you have to butt heads, but for the most part, I think we do try to collaborate. Yeah. Another area is Mercy Hospice. We currently, the 3 hospitals are actually the owners of Mercy Hospice.
Is that right?
So we've been trying to do things together where we can cooperate and collaborate. We certainly do, but we always realize that there's going to be competition. So we try to compete as friendly as we can.
How many beds do you all have currently, Phil, versus in the 64 a bed increase will be to what number?
Okay, we're operating 160 now, and actually we're only going to increase our total bed count by 50, so we'll go to 210.
Okay.
What we're going to do is take the excess of beds that are in the current hospital, 64 minus 50, this is 14. Right. We are developed into 6-bedroom pods now. We're going to take those and convert them to 4-bedroom pods.
Oh, great.
Thereby increasing the amount of square footage in each patient room to make it a little bit more comfortable.
So there will not be some selective process for folks to get into those fancy new 50 rooms. I mean, there's clearly the desire is to even make the older ones as nice as possible. Not quite as much space to be able to do what you're doing with the 50 new ones, but or the 64 new ones, excuse me. But to really do it right, there's an effort there.
We anticipate that there probably will be some competition for the new beds.
Right. Oh, I bet.
I'm sure that all the physicians who admit their patients are going to want their patients in the newest, best rooms. And
sure.
We'll have to work with that, but we'll be able to provide the same level of care no matter where we are.
Oh, yeah, and even for the nurses who may be over I mean, there will be some a good bit of sparring going on, I'm sure.
That's right.
To get over in there.
Yeah, and it's going to be really neat. Like I say, I'm very impressed with the way things are going right now. We hope to get into that new tower not this summer, but next summer.
Okay,
so
summer of 09.
That's
wow.
Correct.
Yeah.
We'll probably be able to move into our lab a little bit earlier than that. The need for the lab, honestly, is obviously more space and for some newer equipment, but also our pharmacy needs more space. We'll be going to a bedside medication medication verification system. And to do that, the pharmacy's got to add some equipment. Basically, that's a patient safety issue. Make sure that the medication delivered to the patient is always correct, 100% of the time. And so we needed to move lab out so we could move pharmacy. And the other thing is our emergency department is becoming overcrowded. So we'll be able to use some of the vacated lab space for an enhanced emergency department.
Now, in your position, as it's expanded, obviously going from the comptroller, I believe, to a chief operating officer, even to a chief executive officer, have you had to get intimately involved on the medical side? Or I saw at some point there had been on here your master's degree from the Medical College of Virginia, excuse me. So you've got familiarity even before arriving on the scene.
Somewhat. I still say I'm a business manager. I run the business side of it, but truly you do get involved in the clinical side because that's what we're about. We're about treating people.
Right.
So, but at the same point in time, I do have people on my staff that can advise me in those clear issues that I'm over my head in. And we really do have a very strong leadership team over there that I'm very proud of, and we do some great things because of leadership. A typical day for you, Phil, if it wasn't Friday, if we weren't starting it off in a bar at 7 a.m., what's a typical day like for you in the middle of a week, let's say? Is it give viewers a sense of what a day in the life of a chief executive officer is, particularly for a major institution. You're one of the largest employers in the county. That's correct. That's
right.
Like to do patient rounds. We'll go up and talk to some of our patients, see how we're doing. One-on-one. We want to know if we're doing things right, if we're treating them properly, if we're treating them nicely, if we're meeting our patient safety goals.
Do you ever go in there and not tell them who you are? I mean, just which is maybe a good way to get
blind. I try to. All I do is identify myself as being administration.
Right.
I don't beyond my name in that. Although some people do know that.
So.
But we do try to talk to them and be as casual as we can, and they are open. It's amazing how open they are to talk. Meet with my staff on a regular basis. Meeting, a lot of meetings, a lot of time out of the day in that. But most of my day's time is spent in looking forward. We have great operational people who take care of the day-to-day, but I'm constantly looking out to the future. What's it going to take for us to still be in operation for this community 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What services do we need to add? Talk to our physicians. That's a key piece. Our physicians are a big part of the care we provide, and we need to know what we're doing for them.
I'm amazed at how many affiliated services are associated with the medical centers. You go down the list, even alphabetically, Ainer Family Practice, the MedStar Subacute Care Facility, of course, Kingston Nursing Center. Again, at the website, ConwayMedicalCenter.com, it just goes and links to all of those and understanding those. Is that pretty common for a medical center to have, or even for a hospital to have those kind of tentacles spread out throughout a community?
It probably depends on the community. Sometimes some needs aren't being met, and you feel like you do need to step out and assist. Kingston Nursing Center, we saw that there was just a huge need for additional nursing home beds in this community.
Right.
So we stepped forward and helped with that because there wasn't an outside agency. Mm-hmm. Now, the other side is that we actually started up a home health agency, but as the need went away, as more and more providers came in the area, we decided that we didn't need to be involved in that, and mm-hmm. we actually divested ourselves of that operation to someone else. Mm-hmm. So we try to look at what meets our mission.
Right.
And our mission base is to improve the health of our community. That's all we do. Mm-hmm. Nothing else.
That's very simple, Phil, to improve the health of our community. And that's the
Conway
community writ large. I mean, it's even clearly larger than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Our service area does go beyond just the Conway area. But clearly, we'll look at those services, and if it's not being met some other way, we'll look and see if it's something that we should provide to our community. Mm-hmm. An example is a wellness fitness center. Many, at the time we built that was not necessarily a key service for healthcare institutions. Right. But we felt like it was something needed because we need to be on the front end of healthcare. We needed to start the preventive maintenance side early.
Right.
But that was a big discussion among my board of trustees. Does it meet our mission? Mm-hmm. And today I'm proud to say that it's still operational, doing a great job, and it does meet our mission. We're able to show people who attend how often they attend, and vitals are taken regularly. So it's a good service to the community.
Jessica was kind enough to send along a employee newsletter I believe you all put out monthly, and of course in there just reading some of the fun facts about reducing smoking, and of course the push here to become a smoke-free campus, but seeing what happens 20 minutes later, and then what happens a day later, and what happens half a year later when you think about clearly your wellness and fitness center. If those differences just in cutting out smoking or cutting it out a little bit in your life can be that dramatic, then surely a wellness and fitness center must be dramatically helpful.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I'm real proud. You bring up the smoking cessation issue, or the tobacco-free campus.
Right.
We actually had over 200 employees take advantage. We offered the prescription drug to assist them at no cost to the employees, and we had over 200 employees take advantage of that.
Wow, Phil.
So just in that, we feel like we've truly made an impact on the health of our community.
Right. Do you mind sharing with viewers how many employees there are in the entire Conway Medical Center? Not to put you on the spot, it's a big number. I was just trying to think. When you said 200, that's amazing. That many already smoked. Yeah.
Total is north of 1,200.
Wow.
I'm not sure exactly.
So about almost 15%, 20% of your staff had been active smokers, and there's probably still a couple stragglers that wouldn't think about it.
That's true. That's true. There's some that they're going to smoke regardless, and that's, we didn't want to invade their privacy, so they have other options.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's fascinating just seeing, and of course, so many groups working towards that smoke-free campus, and that really is an issue for folks when they think about secondhand smoke, or they think about, and as you said, you do not want to invade folks' privacy. They can do as they will. It's a choice issue there, but that is a real issue for patients, I'm sure.
It is. It's a preventable thing that we can have some action over, and that's the reason we chose it. And that was the right thing to do. I'm sure that actually the feedback this time wasn't as much as we were initially a smoke-free building. Right. That happened in the early 80s. Or mid-'80s, I guess.
Is that right? That long ago?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Our accreditation agency, Joint Commission, came out with a standard that hospitals had to be smoke-free. Mm-hmm. So we did that. There was a lot of pushback from our community on that side.
Yeah, particularly on, and
but we really haven't heard a whole lot now that we decided to do it as a campus. And it always drove me crazy to walk in my front door at the hospital and see 5 employees and 5 patients over there smoking. So this has been a pleasant event to take that away.
That is not a vice you've ever picked up, Bill.
It is not.
Is that right? Any of your kids or anyone around you? I mean,
that's
not in the family.
No.
Well, that's exciting. As you think about, of course, for you to have seen the expansion, anything that really sticks out in your mind over the last your 28-year tenure there at the hospital that you're most proud of, Phil?
Wow. It's a lot of growth. I mean, if you look back at our footprint from when we moved to the building to 1982 to our footprint today, you'll see double the square footage, double the amount of patients we're seeing. I mean, it's just tremendous, the growth that's taking place in our area. I'm very proud of what's taken place. You know, the fact that I could have had some small hand in where we are today is just thrills me to no end. It's what makes my day, helps me sleep at night. And the services we continue to add. You know, I've seen us add cardiac catheterization, which we didn't provide before. We've gone through all the different radiology machines that are the CAT scans, the MRIs, just total new services to this community that we didn't provide prior to my arriving here.
Right,
so
right.
Been very, very pleasant to see all that and very fulfilling.
You've got to be proud. Phil, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank
Sorry
you,
we've run out of time.
Okay.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Conway Medical Center and its entire campus. Coming up next. I love both these phrases. The simple one that Phil shared over and over to improve the health of the community, but also the way to the future. Conway Medical Center, the way to the future. And if you visit their website, if you sat here the last 25 minutes, you heard them talk about that 64 new beds and that amazing facility, you'd hear it, the way to the future. Think back 25 years ago when they were arriving over there at that location right off of 501. Phil shared it off campus. They were given 50 acres thinking, we'll never use those 50 acres. Well, now they can barely even fit in that 50 acres right now. 347-7111, 347-7111. If you don't have internet access and want to learn about some way that you can support either the foundation or even get involved, that's a 347-8058 number. But pick up the phone or go online to conwaymedicalcenter.com, conwaymedicalcenter.com, the way to the future, improving the health of the community. Phil, Clayton, and everyone there.